I have now just set my watch, even though I don't know how to do that on this kind of watch. But we got to start this morning where the problem in Houston is so big, I can't even use my favorite line that Houston, we have a problem. I can't even say it. I can't even say Houston, we have a problem because the line is so good and the problem is so big. Rockets got blown out by the Lakers last night, which only made the James Harden situation that much more complicated. Harden used his post-game press conference to air his grievances, if you will, let everyone know where he stands with the team. Take a listen to this.
We're just not good enough. You know, we don't obviously chemistry, talent-wise, just everything. And it was clear, like I said, these last few games, they just, you know, from the beginning of the game, they were just aggressive. Veteran team, obviously, championship team, and you know, one of the best teams that we have in this league. You know, I love this city. I literally, you know, have done everything that I can. You know, I mean, this situation is crazy. You know, it's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah, thanks.
See you later.
That's it. He took 2 questions and he was done. So just so I'm clear, losing to one of the best teams in basketball means you are literally the worst. We're cashing in. All right. There's a lot going on here in Houston. Nick, what'd you make of Harden's comments?
Well, like you said, Jenna, there's a lot here. So I try to be very consistent with my takes, and yet I've yo-yoed a bit on Harden. I was very, very pro-Harden, defended him for years when I thought he was unfairly maligned for not being able to carry his team past an all-time great Warriors team. And then his nonsense this summer made me flip on it. But then the first 3 games of the year, he's 37 points, he's 11 assists, he's the best offensive player in the league. And I think I may have said if he wants to have a tequila IV drip, who cares as long as he's performing like that. Yeah. The problem is this. He ain't performing like that. And when over the last 5 games you're averaging 17 points on 38% from the floor, when you've now gone 4 games in a row without scoring more than 20 points, which had not happened since he was the 6th man of the year in Oklahoma City, and you're doing it while sporting a less than impressive dad bod and your team stinks, well, then it's a 5-alarm fire. And it is a 5-alarm fire that James Harden continues to pour kerosene on. And here, Brandon, for the athlete is, to me, the biggest issue. James Harden wants to leave. He wants to go to a championship caliber team. If you are considering trading for James Harden and you've watched him the last 2 weeks, there are only 2 possible conclusions you can come to. One is he is past his prime and all of a sudden no longer an MVP candidate caliber player, or he's well, hold on, wait. That's your first option. Your second option is this. He's not trying his hardest. He doesn't care.
Mailing it in.
Yeah. He is mailing it in. And I think that might be a worse indictment as an athlete. Like, when you're out there, you're supposed to perform at your highest level. You're supposed to give your best effort. They're not sending you half checks. You're not supposed to give half effort. So if you're a contender, Brandon, I think you look at it and you say, door number 1 or door number 2 ain't great. But the worst door is the one the Rockets find themselves facing, which is we're going to end up trading this guy for 60 cents on the dollar because he keeps depressing his own value.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Nick. I mean, it reminds me of Randy Moss. I mean, I was in Denver, and I'm watching this guy warm up when he's with the Oakland Raiders at the time. And I'm like, why is this guy not going over 1,000 yards and just dominating? This is Randy Moss. He gets traded to New England, and all of a sudden, he's the greatest wide receiver again. So that's what this reminds me of, is a player who's uncomfortable, and when he gets to his new situation, he will be the old James Harden. So I don't think it's him mailing it in. I don't think it's him past his prime. Definitely not past his prime. And then they go back to the question. I have nothing against what he said. Right? Because he's right. James Harden is right. They're not good enough. Now, are they better than 3 and 6? Absolutely. But this comes down to them winning the championship, and it's been that for James Harden. He looked around, he looked at the organization, he looked at the roster and said, we're not good enough to beat LeBron James and the Lakers. So it's time for me to move on. But the problem is this, Wilds. When you say that, now you got to go into the locker room, and you got to look at guys who you see more than you see your family, and you guys are connected at the hip, and you got to address the elephant in the room. Boogie Cousins doesn't think he's done. John Wall doesn't think he's done. P.J. Tucker definitely doesn't think he's done. That's a guy who's pissed off every single day. And then you look at Eric Gordon. Yep. He doesn't think he's done. They think they have everything they need because they got you. So now it gets really uncomfortable. And we said this before the year. How uncomfortable are you really willing to get Houston Rockets? Because now you have to address the elephant in that locker room.
Yep. Yeah, I like you said it was going to get ugly, and Houston said they're willing to get uncomfortable, and James Harden's like, you're going to get uncomfortable? Re-raise, because now I'm not trying. This is the old, you know what this is right here? This is the old I'm not trying. And Nick, you talked about points. Look at the free throw attempts. He's not going to the basket, so that to me is the biggest indication of not playing aggressive. We know the guy loves going to the free throw line, loves it, talks trash to the crowd, you know, does his little grab your arm move. So the fact that he's not going to the line is a problem. But Nick, Brandon's right. They're not good enough. And I've gone a whole 180 on this. James Harden told you to trade him. And you're like, nah, we're going to get uncomfortable. We want to see what we can get. We want to get another pick out of the deal. Like, guys, I told you to trade me. Now it's on you. Because in the uncomfortable Olympics, I'm going to win the gold medal because you guys are just sitting there. So I think this gets worse and worse. Next up on the horizon, Nick, you know what? My ankle's a little sore. You know what? My abdomen.
That's right.
I might have an undiagnosable strain. Yeah. Houston, the organization does not have the upper hand. Make the deal. Call Danny Ainge. Call Pat Riley. Get it done for the sake of John Wall and Boogie Cousins and just giving Raphael Stone and Silas a fresh start.
That's right.
Well, and Wilds, you're talking about injuries that, you know, might not necessarily be actual injuries. I would imagine, and Brandon could speak to this better than me when we talk about it later, but I would imagine he's on the cusp of a major back issue, carrying around all that weight on the front side of his body he's not used to carrying. That can't be good for, you know, your upper dorsal and all that. I just imagine it's not good for him. Wilds, I'm going to tell you the name, though, that you didn't say. Here's who Raphael Stone needs to call. Worldwide Wes. R.J. Barrett.
Ooh,
Julius
let's go.
The Mavs
Let's
pick.
go.
2 Knicks picks. The Knicks will be in the playoffs. Harden will be able to hang out at One Oak once the pandemic's over, maybe even before.
He wants to win a championship.
Brandon, I don't know if that's true.